Hey, this is Meridith Elliott, Powell. You know what time it is. It is 8 a.m. Eastern. Well, it's 7 Central for Mark and I this morning. We are hanging out in Costa Rica. We're doing a little bit of a work trip this week, right?
Of course we're working, right? Of course, getting some other fun in there too. Our spouses are with us. We're here with a group. It's our mastermind, and there's 8 of us, and we're having a great time.
Yeah, but it is time for Sales Logic. Mark, what do we have up for today?
We're going to be talking today about, hey, what are the, oh man, I just lost my notes here. This is crazy. What are the best training tips for 2025? That's the topic. We got a great lightning round, top 10 ways to use AI in sales. Sales Logic Brain's going to pop in. We got some good stuff. Let's go.
Welcome, Thomas. So glad that you are here joining us this morning. Happy New Year and all that good stuff. All right, let me go ahead and find the video and let's rock and roll.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
All right, welcome back to Sales Logic. This week coming to you from Costa Rica. We got a great show. I just want to remind you really quickly, this show lives really by the questions that you, the audience, ask us. So if you've got a question, go to saleslogicpodcast.com because we have one goal, and that is to make you better in 2025. So Mark, what's up?
Okay, so we're talking about the best sales training tips for 2025 because the year has changed. AI is embedded in everything, but it still requires us to say, how do we keep taking our skills to the next level? We have a question. I'll get to the question in a bit, but I'd love to ask you, what's changed for you when it comes to what you feel you need to learn next year?
Yeah, I'm spending a lot of time this year really focused on learning marketing because I feel like marketing and increasing my visibility is going to be really more important. I've got to do more and more to own my space and be the known expert and known resource. And I felt like I've needed to do that in the past, but as I look at 2025, spending more time in that arena.
You know, something that we talked about yesterday, the four of us when we were meeting, relationships and networking and really understanding who are the people. It's not to use people, but how we can learn from people and really expand our network. So that's another critical piece. But I bet there's other things that you're doing from an AI standpoint. How are you using AI to sell?
I was going to save that for the lightning.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But I'm using AI a lot in helping me jumpstart a lot of my content writing and jumpstart a lot of my email writing. But I really want to clarify that I'm saying jump starting. I'm not using it to write it. It's to basically give me an idea.
See, that's very interesting because there's a lot of tools out there that can help you. Oh, you can use an AI tool to help you project your pipeline and so forth. I find they're not ready for prime time. Mm-hmm. They are not at all. And we got to be careful because when we talk about sales training tips, I think it comes down to just being able to have that deep conversation with that customer and being able to take that conversation to the next level. And that means using AI to give us background information. We get background information on their industry, on their business, their supply chain. That's going to help us be more intelligent because I think we as salespeople have to be smarter than ever.
Yeah. When I was really thinking about this topic and I was thinking about what are the best sales training tips for 2025? I think number one, you need to start, are you doing sales training? And I think that's a really important question. I find it so interesting that we as salespeople often think we have this mastered. And we don't invest in sales training. So that's where you need to start. What sales training are you going to invest in this year? And probably the best way to figure that out is what's the weakest part of your sales process. I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably going to it's amazing that this is the weakest part of my sales process because I'm sitting here with the master is prospecting. I don't think I am as clear about who I'm focused on. So I really want to, that is something I am investing in this year.
Now, it's interesting because I look at what do I need to learn? It's prospecting.
Mm-hmm.
I need to take my prospecting to the next level. And what are the tips? What are the strategies? What are the ideas that I can be doing? So I think it's not just working on what's your weakest area, but I think it's also working on what is your strength. I look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, still to this day, the greatest basketball player that ever played. He was continuously striving to make his game better. LeBron James does the same thing. Tom Brady, when he was quarterback in the NFL, same thing. They work on their strengths. They also, they're working on their weaknesses, but they're not forgetting their strengths. So really, you have to be doing a 360 all the way around.
Another sales tip I was thinking about that I've got for the year is that basically I'm dedicating time every single week to learning and development. And that is in learning my skills. It's in learning my products and services. It's really dedicating time weekly to do that.
One of the things, and I'll go back to why we're here. We're here in Costa Rica. We're meeting together. We're collaborating. This is one of the key things. If you want to develop your sales skills, if you want to develop any skills, you can't do it in a dark corner. You have got to expose yourself to people, connect with people, and exchange ideas with people. Now, here's the key thing when you're learning. I find this. You'll share an idea that you do, and I go, wow, that's unbelievable. That works for you, but I know that's not going to work for me. No idea that somebody has is going to work perfectly for you, but you take it, you shape it, you mold it, and then you apply it.
Yeah. I love what Mike, you are so right. Prospecting and top of the funnel activity is really, really, is really critical. I'll tell you another tip that I've got going for this year is I am going to spend more time debriefing sales calls, why I won deals and why I lost deals. I think that we are living in a marketplace that is shifting and moving like crazy, and I want to have a better understanding of what I'm doing that's working and what I'm doing that isn't working.
Think about that for a moment. We are successful with a sales call, and we're like, wow, that rocked, and then we automatically gloss over and run the next thing. We get a bad sales call, and we dwell on the negative. Yet in both of those, there are situations that we can learn from. And we've got to really dissect our calls. I remember I had a boss, Keith Olson, years ago. He was probably my best boss, that he would ride with me and we'd go on sales calls. And he just had an ability to just sit there, say nothing, but we get back in the car after talking to a customer. Hey, Mark, did you look at this? Did you look at this? And he got me really into this habit of looking at everything I'm doing. He would uncover things in my sales calls that I never thought I was doing. I didn't realize. And that takes me to something. I think we have to find ways to use video in our sales calls, record our sales calls, and so forth, and really go back with a critical eye and dissect them and maybe give them to somebody else. Hey, would that be interesting? I record a couple sales calls, you record, you review me, and I review you.
Yeah.
That would be creepy. No, that would be very good.
All right, Dave Sanderson, love what you are chiming in here. You agree with Mark. Focus on your strengths first and leverage your weaknesses to people who specialize in your weaknesses. Enjoy Costa Rica. Such good advice, and we are enjoying Costa Rica. Mike, I love what you're posting in here. I read a post yesterday that talked about reaching out to 5 prospects before 10 a.m. every day is a trait for top salespeople. I thought that was good advice. It is key advice. Mark and I can tell you that we both do it before. In fact, I don't know. I meditate in the morning, then I read my goals, then I make sales calls. It's the very first thing that I do.
Mike, what you're doing is you're sharing the 10 a.m. rule. I always say that you want to achieve something significant before 10 a.m. each day. And when you do that, it's amazing how the rest of your day works. Mike, I love what you're doing there. Perfect. Outstanding. Here's the situation. You brought up something. I think we need to carve out time every day to learn.
Yeah, I think
we need to just
important.
Set time aside. We are going to learn and be absolutely focused on that. And I don't think too many people do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's especially prevalent in the sales space. I'll tell you another thing, another really good sales tip I was thinking about was that you've got to do more to really understand your product and service. When I first started in sales, I went into financial services and I was selling before I understood the products or services because I didn't have to. But now sales is a different game and you need to really understand the products and services.
I'm going to challenge that a little bit because I think it's about having a conversation, and we can allow our if we say, and you're right, we got to know all kinds of information like we've never known before. But if we hold back and resist getting in on the game until we know everything, we'll never engage. And sometimes you just got to have the conversation. This really sets up well. Our question today comes from Eduardo in Cancun, small business owner. He manages luxury homes. Limited budget, limited time. What are some best techniques for training? And I think that's so key because the whole thing is it's setting aside dedicated time. I did put that question into the brain and two things it came back with, and that is coaching and mentoring, because those take limited time. They really do take limited time. And networking, connecting with other people like what we're doing here. Every day we have to ask ourselves, who can we learn from? Because there's always somebody we can learn from.
Well, I think that's another really great sales tip. I mean, I think that you need to basically find a couple of people that you think are really successful in sales, some people that you admire, and follow what they do. Ask for their ideas, ask for their input, learn from what they're doing. No reason to reinvent the wheel. Some people, that's what I'm doing with the marketing space. I'm really I told you a couple of people that I'm really following. I don't know that I can do exactly what they do, but I'm fascinated by it. I'm trying to watch it. I'm trying to learn it. I think that's really, really important.
And I think what that does is it just continues to expand our reach. And this goes back to something. So many times salespeople are guilty. They don't read. They don't learn. They don't listen. I mean, whether it be books, whether it be podcasts, whether it be people you're associating with and so forth. We have got to be students of our business. Now stop and think about this. We are charged with creating a livelihood. We are charged with impacting people. And that means we've got to be at the top of our game. Do customers want to deal with people who are not top of their game? No. We owe it to everybody in our community to be continuously expanding. We're right now at the beginning of the new year. My knowledge base is dramatically better than it was a year ago. And I'm sure yours is too. And I have a feeling that next year it's going to be even better. And you stop and think about that. Where are we gathering this knowledge? It's from these people that we are coming in contact with. I can't stress that enough. That's one of the reasons Sales Logic Mastermind, I think, is such a critical tool, because we've got a number of members here this morning that are chiming in, Natalie and Dave and so forth. And they're members of the mastermind, so they get to exchange ideas and so forth and learn from each other.
I love that we've got Simone from Bangalore. We got some great comments coming in here. Mark John Wong, you are always a favorite here. Using AI to review what I have said and how I delivered the message after I complete a call. It's helping to reshape language. So great. Got a user here from San Diego. Spencer, need to concentrate more on the ICP. Don't waste time. That's a huge sales tip for 2025. And Natalie has been looking at LinkedIn trends to see how to connect better with key prospects and contacts. Here's another great sales tip, I think, for 2025. Really ask yourself, what are you doing to push out of your comfort zone? What are you doing to really make yourself uncomfortable? Are you doing at least one thing every week, whether that's picking up the phone call, calling on a prospect that you've been afraid to try to call on, or reaching out to somebody you admire and trying to make that connection? I got to tell you, I was looking at a podcast yesterday that I really admire, and they had a list of former guests on there. And I thought, I should reach out. It scares me, but there's a couple of people on there that I would like to have on my podcast. And I thought I should reach out and try, just what the heck? What do I have to lose, right? So push out of my comfort zone.
But see, that does two things. A, it creates a connection, it creates another person. A, it's going to give you knowledge, but B, it has you doing something that you're not necessarily comfortable with. I mean, you're very comfortable in sales, but here we are reaching outside just to connect with somebody. And this is the whole thing. I think the more comfortable we become with the uncomfortable, the more comfortable we become with that which we have to repeat and do every day. So I think it's a skill set. That is absolutely huge for us, which leads us to the question, what are each of you as listeners doing to do something different to push yourself into the uncomfort zone, for next year?
It's interesting. We're here at this mastermind. We're spending a couple of days really working on our businesses. And we had talked about yesterday that the fact that we all need to leave here with at least 4 or 5 things that we're going to do differently this year than we did last year. And so, look at your sales pipeline, look at what you did, and then ask yourself, maybe you had your best year on record last year, which is great. But what could you do to really take it to another level? What are 4 or 5 things, even just 3, that you could do that could really take things to another level? Mark, Dave is chiming in here with such a great comment. It goes full circle. When you are around the right associations, everyone gets leveled up. Absolutely true. You have got to be careful about who you associate with in 25.
I mean, our moms were right when they said, be careful who you play with at recess, at school, because you do. I mean, Jim Rohn said it, you become the sum of the 5 people you associate with the most. Critical. And this is what's interesting, because just through osmosis, we up our game when we hang out with really great people. So we do have to be careful. And this comes back to the whole thing that, what is it that we're putting into our mind? What is it that we're putting into our, what are we allowing ourselves to be exposed to? This is so critical because, again, it's amazing. You made the comment, you start off with a very set routine. I do too. And something I found, the more routine focused we can be, the more we can achieve. And in that routine, we have to set aside time to learn something new every day.
Let's talk about routine. I was going to shoot a video about this today, but you talk about the fact that we set aside time every day, and I really want to challenge our listeners here. So I woke up this morning and I was so afraid I was gonna oversleep, so I didn't sleep all that well, and I looked at the phone. I looked to see what time it was, and I have to get up and meditate. I have to get up and read my calls, and I have to get up and exercise a little bit. That's one of my things, is that I feel like I'm better at business if I exercise every day. I did not want to get out of the bed, and I did not want to go for a walk. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to meditate, but I thought, I've made this commitment. I need to get up and do it. And the difference between people who succeed and people who don't is, do you allow your mind to control what you don't want to do, or do you just force your body to do it? You have to decide who's in control. It is either your body and your mind dictating your life, or you're going to dictate it. And so I just made the decision. I said, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it. You have to take control of that. And what you do in the first, I believe, 3 hours of the day is going to dictate the whole day. If you get up and you eat a donut, that day's going straight downhill. You get up, you go outside, you go for a walk, you meditate, you make a sales call, that day is going straight up. So I think a great sales tip is to protect those first 3 hours of the day.
This makes it sound like a replay of what we talked about at dinner last night. Yeah. Remember? Because again, and this was interesting, because again, as our mastermind, we're diving deep into this. And what Meridith just shared was parts from a conversation we had last night about how over dinner, how the mind controls far more. And when we sit there and say we can't do something, that's just our mind doing it. We can do it. There is no limits to the capabilities of what we can achieve. But we have to condition our mind and get our mind to realize that we can do that. And one of the ways you do that is by who you're associating with, what are the reference points that you're looking at, and how you do it. This is where learning has to become a 24/7, 365-day-a-year strategy that we do.
Yeah, I love what Thomas is saying here. Readers are leaders. Keeping up on your industry is key. You've got to bring value to each of your prospects, and their industries are changing so fast. That is so incredibly true. Thomas, I love what you're saying here. I had to make a commitment. I've signed a contract with a client this year that, quite frankly, scares me. I'm having a little bit of imposter syndrome, and so all I can do around that is to be unbelievably prepared. If I am unbelievably prepared, I will blow it. I will blow it out of the water. So such good advice.
See, now that's something good there, because you say that you're imposter syndrome. So it's forcing you to be more prepared. And this is a great strategy for any of us. We all have the ability to be more prepared, but it didn't stop you. It did not stop you.
No. Because I'm a really big believer that you have got to push out of your comfort zone. Your growing edge is what makes you uncomfortable. I love Spencer's comment here. His sales tip for 25, he's going to try to be more curious, George. Forget about selling and try to learn as much as you can.
If we sit here and take this open approach of saying, I am going to push myself into uncomfortable situations, I'm going to learn all along the way. It is amazing at how successful we will be. Otherwise, you can just sit in the corner and allow the year to go by. We all have the ability to change dramatically if we choose to. It was funny. We were walking around yesterday and saw a number of iguanas and so forth. They actually have the ability to lose their tail. If they're being attacked. In other words, their tail is their weapon. But they can actually discharge their tail from their body. That will distract the attacker, and they can run off, and their tail will grow back. Stop and think about that. That's amazing. I don't know what that applies to learning, but
I think it goes really well with Andy's. He disagrees with the expression that I made that you don't want to reinvent the wheel. The Stagecoach wheel worked perfectly for the Stagecoach, but not for a Corvette. The wheel needed to be reinvented. So true. I agree 100%, Andy. But I'm also going to say that when there are very successful people around you, you can learn from them. And I think what I learned from the iguana, this is how darn good I am. I'm going to tie Mark's comment in here, that when your tail isn't working for you, or you need to shed something, shed it and move on. Mark, we are burning time, and we got to tell you that we have not had any coffee yet today, because you can't get it till 7 a.m. Here. So you are all that is standing between us and a cup of coffee. But what's up for the book?
The book is Neil Rackham's Spin Selling. I'll tell you what, that's a classic book, and we picked this book very specifically because it's been out there for years. Everybody's read it. Read it again. There are classics in the sales literature space that we need to read again. Neil Rackham, Spin Selling, without a doubt. I think created the modern selling era. Read it again.
Yeah, it's such a, when you want to think about habits, when you want to think about things that you want to do that are going to work in 25. I just think Spin Selling is such a classic. Nalish, I hope I'm not butchering your name. The training programs must be highly customized. So true. Also, training content and flow should be partially owned by individuals.
Yes.
Great advice. Great advice. All right. We have for the lightning round.
Thank you for sharing that, because at the end of the day, it's not people training you. It's what you do with the training you receive, and you go out and get it yourself. Okay. Lightning round. Ready? Top 10 ways to use AI in sales. Go.
Number one, like I said, when we started, I use it as a starter for content.
2, I can use it to help personalize marketing, not to finish the marketing, but to give me ideas as to where to go with it.
Yeah, I think AI, number 3, could really be used to help you overcome objections, to thinking about, what objections you're going to face in that call, and what you could use to overcome them.
And I'm going to add to that, because it's like in the Sales Logic chatbot that we have, the brain that we have, there is a role play scenario. This is for the mastermind members, where they can actually role play before you go in on a sales call. Powerful tool.
Yeah. Number 5, you could definitely, I don't know if you put out newsletters, but you could definitely use AI to help you with some newsletter content.
You can create graphics that you own. You are not liable to Getty images and so forth. This is one of the most powerful tools that gets you around this whole copyright problem.
Yeah. Number 6. Are we on number 6?
Yeah, 6, whatever.
Number 6. You could use AI to help you further define and get to know your ICP.
You can use it to help you with automated follow-ups. Again, you got to put your fingers on it, your eyeballs on it, but you can use it to help set up automated follow-ups.
Yeah. Number 8, you could use it to come up with your top 10 tips for how to do something at the end of your Sales Logic podcast.
Perfect. And of course, you can use it to create a chatbot on your website. If you have your own company, you can use it to set up a chatbot.
Yeah. And I guess number 10, if you do not, I used ChatGPT this year to create a 4 or 5 email drip to help me warm up prospects before I make a call.
And I'm going to tell you something, whatever you're using AI for today, it's going to be dramatically different and better come the end of the year. That's just the way AI is moving. Hey, with that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show, because it's how we grow when we help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical.
All right. We will see you right back here next week, 8 a.m. Eastern, when we're back in the cold states.
We're going to go get coffee right now.
Yeah, we're going to go get coffee right now. But remember, listen, probably the best sales tip we're going to give you this year is think about joining the Sales Logic Mastermind. Just go to saleslogicpodcast.com, put your questions in there, but check out the mastermind and join us for the Sales Logic Expert Exchange. 4th Monday of the month, we've got the awesome Sherry Leviton this month. All right, have a great week.